62 samples, 24 different brands, 1 independent laboratory. A news team bought wet dog food off ordinary American shelves and sent it out for testing. They found pentobarbital. That's not a preservative. It's not a pesticide. Pentobarbital has one job in this country. It's the drug a veterinarian uses to end a dog's life. More than 100 million cans came off the shelves. The FDA said the amounts they found were small. The FDA also said this: there's no acceptable level of pentobarbital in pet food. The limit is 0. Any amount at all breaks federal law. And 8 years later, the public still has never been told exactly how it got in there. Now here's what I didn't expect when I started pulling these files. That is not the worst story in this video. It's not even close. The most serious wet dog food failure of the last 10 years hit 86 separate lots, 33 different products, all pulled for a vitamin level the FDA said could cause kidney failure or death. And it wasn't the cheap stuff on the bottom shelf, it was the brand sold inside veterinary clinics. That's number 1. Stay with me to the end, because I'm going to give you a 4-second test that tells you what any can in America actually contains. No app, no phone, no research, 4 seconds, and you will never look at that shelf the same way again. Let's go. Number 7, Caesar, the little trays with a white terrier on the front. Pick one up and read the flavors. Filet mignon, porterhouse steak, rotisserie chicken. It reads like a menu at a steakhouse. So here's the rule that makes those words possible. In American pet food labeling, the word flavor has no minimum percentage attached to it. None. 0. The rule only requires that something in the recipe provides the taste. Read that again. Filet mignon flavor is not a claim about filet mignon. It is a claim about flavor. Meanwhile, flip the tray over. The panel typically opens with water sufficient for processing, then meat byproducts. Now, byproducts aren't garbage, and I'm not going to pretend they are. Organs are real nutrition. A wolf eats the liver first. The problem is that meat byproducts is a category, not an ingredient. It's broad, it's unspecified, and what's actually in there can move with the commodity market. There's no recall story here, and I'll say that straight. Caesar is number 7 because it's the purest example of steakhouse words sitting on top of a byproduct base at a premium price per ounce. You're paying for the tray. And that's the polite end of this list, because the next one hides its disclosure in a word you've read 1,000 times and never once thought about. Number 6, pedigree chopped ground dinner. Look at that name. One word in it is doing legal work, and it's the last one you'd suspect. Dinner. Dinner is a regulated term. When a product is called a dinner or an entree or a platter, the named meat only has to be 25% of the product. That's excluding water. Count the water and it can drop to 10. Now compare that to a can named simply beef dog food. No qualifier. That one has to be 95% beef. Same shelf, same aisle, one word between them. So chopped ground dinner with beef isn't a beef product with a nice name on it. It's a product where beef can be a minority ingredient, and the word dinner is the disclosure. Legally, they told you. You just read it as a serving suggestion. Pedigree's recall record is comparatively quiet, and I'll always tell you when a file is thin, it's here for the gap. Wholesome family advertising wrapped around a can running on water, byproducts, and unspecified animal fat from a company with the resources to do far better. Remember that phrase, by the way? Unspecified animal fat. It comes back at number 2, and when it does, it stops being a marketing complaint. Number 5, Beneful prepared meals and Beneful chopped blends. This one is a completely different kind of failure, and almost nobody talks about it. March 10th, 2016, Purina recalls 10-ounce tubs of wet dog food. Beneful prepared meals, Beneful chopped blends, and ProPlan savory meals. But the reason wasn't contamination. No bacteria, no chemical, nothing got into the food. The recall was because the food did not contain the recommended levels of vitamins and minerals. Stop and think about what that means, because it inverts everything you worry about. We spent all our attention on what might get into the can. This was about what never made it in. Complete and balanced is a legal claim. It means that food supplies everything your dog needs, and a dog eating it as its only meal is betting its health entirely on that claim being true. So when the vitamins fall short, what does that look like at home? Nothing. Nothing tastes wrong. Nothing smells wrong. Your dog eats happily and wags his tail. The deficiency is completely silent, and it builds. Credit where it's due, Purina caught this themselves through their own testing and pulled it. That's a quality system working. But it tells you what complete and balanced really is. A promise, executed by machinery, verified by whoever chooses to verify it, and from the bowl, you'd never know. That's a company catching its own mistake. Number 4 is what happens when nobody can even tell you who made the food. Number 4, Ol Roy, Walmart's house brand. Here's something most shoppers have never considered. Walmart doesn't make this food. Private label means a contract manufacturer makes it, and the can will not tell you which one. Not the company, not the plant, not what else runs on that same line. Now that stops being an abstract complaint in February 2018. Ol Roy canned products were part of the pentobarbital withdrawal. 4 brands, all made by the same manufacturer, J.M. Smucker, Ol Roy, Kibbles and Bits, Skippy, and one more we'll get to. And here's the detail that matters. When investigators traced the contamination, it came back to one supplier's animal fat. Animal fat, not beef fat, not chicken fat, just animal fat. The one ingredient on that label where nobody is required to name the species. And as it turned out, nobody in that chain knew what was in it. Look, cheap food is not a moral failing. For a lot of families, it's the only option. And a dog that eats beats a dog that doesn't every single time. But you should know what that low price is actually buying. It's buying a supply chain you are not permitted to see. Number 3 is where this stops being about one company. It's where 60 million cans came off the shelves at once. Number 3, IAMS and Eukanuba canned. March 2007, a company called Menu Foods recalls its cuts and gravy style wet food. Most shoppers had never heard the name. Pets had started dying of kidney failure. The recall grew to roughly 60 million cans and pouches across nearly 100 different brand names, premium labels, store brands. IAMS among the biggest names caught in it. The cause was wheat gluten imported from China, spiked with melamine. That's an industrial chemical used to make plastic. It was added to fake a higher protein score on paper tests. And in the body, combined with a related compound, it crystallized in kidneys. The FDA logged thousands of reports. A class action covering more than 24,000 pet owners settled for $24 million. But here's the part I want you to sit with. Nearly 100 competing brands were coming off the same production lines, fed by the same ingredient bid. Think about what that meant for the shopper. Somebody who deliberately walked past the cheap can and paid double for the premium one found out they had been buying the exact same food in a different label the entire time. Legally, IAMS was a victim of its supplier, and that is precisely the point. In 2007, IAMS was the vet trusted premium name in America, and its wet food still came off a shared line, fed by the cheapest ingredient on the global market. The industry says it learned, but the structure that caused it, shared plants, imported commodity inputs, sourcing nobody shows you, that is still the skeleton of this business today. And now number 2. This is the one from the top of the video. Number 2, Gravy Train. Early 2018, a news investigation sends dozens of wet dog food samples to an independent lab. Multiple Gravy Train samples come back positive for pentobarbital. Not a trace pesticide, not a processing chemical, the drug used to euthanize animals. The FDA investigated and confirmed the detections. The manufacturer announced a withdrawal. The FDA classified it as a recall. Now walk through what had to happen for that to reach a dog's bowl. A euthanized animal most likely entered the rendering stream. It was processed into fat. That fat was sold to a pet food plant. It passed whatever incoming testing existed. It was mixed, canned, sealed, shipped, stocked, bought, and poured into a dish in somebody's kitchen. Every single checkpoint failed in order across multiple companies. Nobody caught it. The FDA did say the levels found were low and unlikely to cause acute harm, and I'll always give you that. But forget the dose for 1 second and look at the system. That rendering stream is the same stream that produces the unnamed ingredients on half the cans in that aisle. Remember unspecified animal fat from number 6. This is what it looks like when nobody can tell you what species went into it. Gravy Train is still on shelves today under new corporate ownership. The gravy is still thick, the price is still low, and the record is still public. Okay, so if that's number 2, what could possibly be number 1? It isn't the cheapest can in the store, it's the most trusted one. Number 1, Hill's Science Diet and Prescription Diet Canned Dog Food. Take a breath, because this is the brand sitting on the shelf in your veterinarian's lobby, the one with science in the name, the one your vet may have personally put in your hands. January 31st, 2019, Hill's tells the FDA it's recalling more than 20 types of canned dog food. The reason is potentially toxic levels of vitamin D. In March, the FDA asked the company to test samples that weren't in the original recall. They test. The recall expands. In May, it expands a third time. Final scope, straight off the FDA's own page, 86 lots, 33 varieties of canned dog food. And here is the FDA's own language about what that vitamin does at those levels. In very high amounts, vitamin D can cause serious health problems, like kidney failure or death. Now, the detail that puts this at number 1. The FDA's notice says it directly. The recall was only for canned dog food, not the kibble, not the cat food, not the treats, the wet food, the exact aisle this whole video is about. And where did it go? The FDA says these products were distributed through retail pet stores and veterinary clinics nationwide. Some of them were prescription diets, food given to dogs that were already sick, dogs with kidney problems, dogs with digestive problems, owners following medical instructions exactly. Hundreds of complaints reached the FDA, dozens of lawsuits followed and were consolidated in federal court. Hill's settled a class action for $12.5 million. And I'll give you the other side every single time. That settlement came with no admission of wrongdoing. The company traced the cause to a supplier's vitamin premix. Hill's says its processes have changed, and the FDA formally closed the recall out in December 2021. So why does this beat the euthanasia drug? Because of the honest comparison. In 2018, the FDA's position was that the pentobarbital levels found were unlikely to cause acute harm. In 2019, the FDA's position was that these products contained enough vitamin D to cause kidney failure or death, and hundreds of owners reported exactly that happening. The scarier headline was on the bottom shelf. The more serious documented harm was behind the veterinary counter. And that's the whole lesson of this channel in one comparison. Vet recommended is the most powerful trust signal in this entire industry. It is not a safety guarantee. It never was. It's a recommendation. Recommendations don't inspect supplier premixes. All right, so what do you actually put in the bowl? 3 that hold up, and nobody's paying me to say any of this. Number 3, any can that passes the 95% rule. Look for a name with no qualifier at all. No dinner, no entree, no with, no flavor, just beef dog food, just chicken and rice dog food. Those named ingredients have to be at least 95% of the product, excluding water. It's the highest bar in American pet food labeling, and you can spot it from 6 feet away. Go looking for it on your next trip. It's far rarer than you'd guess, which tells you exactly how much of that aisle is built on qualifiers. Number 2, Purina Pro Plan Wet. And yes, Purina is at both ends of this video because Beneful is Purina too. That is the thesis. Companies don't have records, products do. Pro Plan runs on named proteins. Feeding trials, meaning actual dogs eating the food under monitoring, not a formula calculated on a spreadsheet. Nutritionists and veterinarians on staff, their own plans. And notice the fairness. That 2016 tub recall touched a Pro Plan line. So this isn't a company with a spotless record. It's a company that caught its own problem and pulled the product, which is honestly worth more. Number 1, Royal Canin Wet. Veterinary nutritionists on staff, feeding trials instead of paper formulation, company-owned manufacturing, and a US recall record that stayed remarkably clean for years. And I'm going to show you it's one blemish myself because that's the standard I promised you. In April 2007, during the worst crisis this industry ever had, Royal Canin USA recalled several products after contaminated rice protein reached its supply chain. That happened. The company pulled it and dropped the ingredient, and the 19 years since are the actual evidence. A record isn't perfection. It's what a company does when something breaks and what happens in all the years after. Now, the 4-second test I promised you. This is the part to remember. Step 1, read the qualifier in the name. No qualifier means 95%. Dinner or entree means 25. With means 3. and flavor means no minimum at all. Step 2. Read past the water to the first real ingredient and ask one question. Is the protein named or is it a category? Chicken is a name, meat byproducts is a category. Named beats unnamed every time because a name is a promise somebody has to keep. Step 3, and this is the one 2018 taught us. Look for unspecified animal fat, because if that can't tell you what animal the fat came from, nobody in that supply chain had to know either. That's it. 3 questions, 4 seconds, standing right there in the aisle. And one honest last thing. None of this means the expensive can is automatically right for your dog. Budget is real. Availability is real. A dog that eats is better than a dog that doesn't. And anybody who shames you for shopping the bottom shelf isn't helping you. But you deserve to know what those words mean while you're standing there choosing. That's all this was ever for. Now go get the can out of your kitchen. Right now, while this is fresh, read the name, find the qualifier, and tell me in the comments what it said. Dinner with or flavor? I want to see how many of you find a flavor